"Mommy has to go to work," Elena told her daughter Sophie, kissing her forehead as the emergency alert throbbed at her temple. The neural implant's insistent pulse meant only one thing: catastrophic event protocol. "But you promised cake," Sophie protested, clutching her stuffed astronaut bear. Behind her, cartoon characters danced on holographic streamers spelling "Happy 7th Birthday." "I know, sweetheart." Elena glanced at the window where her mother-in-law stood transfixed. Through the glass, crystalline structures descended through cloud cover, beautiful and terrifying in their geometric perfection. "Grandma will take care of everything. I'll be back soon." She wouldn't, of course. Soldiers rarely made promises they could keep. 20 minutes later, Captain Elena Reyes sprinted across the Vandenberg launchpad as anti-aircraft batteries fired uselessly at the alien vessels. Her flight suit clung to her sweat-soaked skin, the taste of birthday cake still sweet on her tongue. The ISV Defiant, her ship, her responsibility, waited in its berth, a prototype vessel never meant to see actual combat. "Captain on deck," her XO shouted as Elena burst onto the bridge. Crew members scrambled to stations, their faces a uniform mask of controlled terror. "Status report," she demanded, sliding into the command chair. "Planetary defenses failing worldwide. 15 major cities hit. The Pentagon." The communications officer hesitated. "Direct impact, ma'am. Chain of command is fragmenting." Elena accessed the tactical display. The situation was worse than she'd imagined. Alien vessels methodically obliterated military installations with surgical precision, leaving civilian infrastructure largely intact. "They're not here to annihilate us," she realized aloud. "They're neutralizing resistance before occupation." "Captain," the sensor operator interrupted. 6 bogies on approach vector. 2 minutes to intercept." Elena studied the Defiant's capabilities. The ship was designed as a deep space explorer with experimental defensive systems, not a warship. Running wasn't cowardice, it was strategic necessity. "Plot escape trajectory," she ordered. "Maximum acceleration once we clear atmosphere." "We're abandoning Earth," her XO challenged, voice tight with disbelief. Elena met his gaze unflinchingly. "We're preserving Earth's best chance. This ship has technology they haven't seen. If we escape, we can gather intelligence, possibly find weaknesses." The Defiant shuddered as its engines ignited. Elena watched her homeworld recede on the viewscreen, smoke rising from cities she'd sworn to protect. The ship's AI interface, Valor, manifested as a holographic presence beside her chair. "Captain, I've detected a pattern in the alien attack formations," the AI reported. "Their targeting algorithms show evidence of extensive study. These aren't random strikes. They've been watching us, studying our defenses for years." "That's impossible," Elena whispered. "We would have detected their presence." "Not necessarily," came a voice from the weapons station. Marcus Reyes, her husband, at least on paper, hadn't spoken since she'd arrived. Their personal relationship had collapsed years ago, but professionally, he remained the best tactical officer in the fleet. If they have technology advanced enough for those shields, they could have been observing from beyond our detection range. The ship lurched violently as an energy beam grazed their port side. Alarm klaxons blared as Elena clutched her chair. "Shields at 62%, Valor reported. 3 Arcadian vessels in pursuit." "Arcadian?" Elena questioned. "I've analyzed their communication frequencies," the AI explained. "They self-identify as the Arcadian Collective." Marcus's hands flew across his console. "I can create a sensor blind spot by overloading our primary weapons array. It will look like catastrophic damage, but might give us the chance to slip past their blockade." "Do it," Elena commanded without hesitation. The weapons systems were their most valuable offensive capability, but survival came first. As Marcus executed his plan, the ship's sensors captured detailed readings of the pursuing vessels. Elena studied the data with growing interest, focusing on their shield harmonics. "Their shield technology," she murmured. It's impressive, but fundamentally flawed. The resonance patterns are too regular, too predictable. The ship shuddered again as Marcus's gambit played out. The weapons array overloaded in a spectacular electromagnetic eruption that temporarily blinded both their sensors and the Arcadians. In that moment of confusion, the Defiant slipped through a gap in the blockade. Elena felt warm blood trickling down her temple where she'd struck the console. Her vision blurred, consciousness fading, but not before she locked the shield data in her personal database. Predictable, she whispered as darkness claimed her. That's how we'll beat them. Wei Chen's hands didn't belong to him anymore. He stared at them in the dim light of the abandoned mine. Cracked skin, broken nails, calluses where designer watches once sat. 3 months ago, he'd been presenting the latest engine modifications to Formula One executives in Milan. Now he knelt in frozen mud, assembling weapons from children's toys and industrial equipment. "It'll work this time," he muttered, adjusting the quantum oscillator salvaged from an interactive teddy bear. The device, resembling a deformed jackhammer with circuit boards exposed, hummed ominously when he connected the final power coupling. "You said that the last 3 times," reminded Aisha, a former materials scientist now serving as his assistant. "And the last 3 times, we nearly collapsed the entire East Tunnel." Wade didn't acknowledge her concern. Sleep deprivation had narrowed his world to a single point of focus, exploiting the frequency vulnerability in Arcadian shield technology. Captain Rice's data, transmitted before the Defiant disappeared, had given them the theoretical framework. Execution was proving more challenging. "The problem isn't the resonance theory," we insisted, making microscopic adjustments. "It's our power delivery system. We're trying to create quantum-level disruptions with technology designed to power kitchen appliances." Aisha wrapped a thermal blanket around her shoulders as her breath clouded in the frigid air. "Perhaps we should be more like Santiago's group in Brazil. They're not trying to match Arcadian technology. They are using what they know works." Wei had heard about the Rio resistance cell, Carnival designers creating thermal camouflage from parade costumes, confusing alien sensors with technology meant for street performances. Ingenious, but insufficient for his purposes. "We don't need 1,000 clever tricks," he countered. "We need one definitive weapon." The intercom crackled. "Wei, incoming transmission from Nairobi. You'll want to see this." In the makeshift command center, once a mining supervisor's office, teenager Habiba displayed her latest triumph. The Nairobi cell had successfully reprogrammed delivery drones to create interference patterns in Arcadian communications. "The drones individually aren't powerful enough to disrupt their signals," Habiba explained, her face flickering on the salvage monitor. "But we've programmed them to produce overlapping fields. Where they intersect, Arcadian comms go completely dark." Wei absorbed this information, his engineer's mind already calculating applications. How long does the effect last? "Only 90 seconds before their systems adapt," Habiba admitted. "But we've programmed randomized pattern shifts. They can't predict where the next disruption will occur." The conversation ended abruptly as proximity alarms blared throughout the facility. Wei's blood turned colder than the Canadian winter outside. "Arcadian patrol," the security officer reported. 7 vessels, heavy ground support. "They found us." Aisha grabbed Wei's arm. "We need to evacuate. The secondary site in Thunder Bay." "No time," Wei interrupted, making rapid calculations. "Everyone who can't fight needs to take the escape tunnels. Everyone else." He looked at his unfinished prototype. "That thing doesn't work," Aisha protested. "It might," Wei countered, already making modifications. "It just needs a catalyst, something to create the initial resonance disruption." Understanding dawned on her face. "The drones. If we replicate Habiba's interference pattern and calibrate it to match the shield's resonant frequency," Wei continued, fingers flying across his workstation, "we create a cascading effect." Wei activated the facility's broadcast system. "This is Chen. We have approximately 15 minutes before the Arcadians breach our outer defenses. All non-essential personnel evacuate immediately. Combat teams, prepare for Defense Protocol Epsilon. As civilians rushed to escape tunnels, Wei transmitted what he believed would be his final message to Resistance headquarters. Facility compromised. Attempting defensive stand with prototype technology. If successful, transmitting specifications to follow. If unsuccessful, he paused. Make it count. With trembling fingers, he made final adjustments to the prototype, then addressed the 30 fighters who remained. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Resonance Disruptor. Completely untested, probably unreliable, and potentially our only chance for survival. Questions. A former construction worker raised her hand. If we die, can I haunt you in the afterlife? Wei actually laughed. Get in line. Jamal Williams calibrated his neural interface with hands that hadn't stopped shaking since the invasion. The basement of Madrid's National Library had become his tactical headquarters, the last place Arcadians would expect to find resistance leadership in an age of digital warfare. Neural handshake complete, announced the system that had once powered his multi-billion-dollar gaming empire. Before the invasion, the Nexus platform had revolutionized entertainment by allowing players to mentally inhabit their avatars. Now, it coordinated global guerrilla operations through what Williams called tactical empathy, the ability for resistance leaders to experience each other's battlefield perspectives in real time. Mosquito Prime to all cells. Status check. Williams broadcast, his consciousness expanding across the network. Immediately, his mind filled with sensory data from dozens of resistance leaders worldwide. He felt Mumbai's monsoon rains through the skin of a former police officer, tasted Copenhagen's salty air through a university student's senses, experienced the desert heat of Cairo through a taxi driver's perspective. Individual battles became a single, cohesive campaign in his augmented awareness. Soul Cell reporting unexpectedly heavy Arcadian presence near Sector 4, came an urgent thought transmission. Williams diverted his attention, sharing the Korean leader's visual feed. Indeed, alien troop concentrations exceeded predicted models. They're anticipating our attack, Williams realized. This was the critical vulnerability of Operation Mosquito. If the Arcadians identified the pattern behind the seemingly random strikes, the entire strategy collapsed. All cells, implement Variant Protocol Epsilon. Abort primary targets, shift to secondary objectives. Williams felt resistance leaders' momentary confusion transition to understanding as they received updated target information. Within seconds, attack vectors worldwide adjusted to the new reality. What appeared chaotic to alien observers was actually a precisely choreographed global dance, with Williams as its conductor. His assistant, Teresa, monitored his vital signs with growing concern. Your cerebral activity is redlining again, she warned, adjusting his medication drip. You need to disconnect soon. Williams ignored her. The former game designer had been paralyzed from the neck down for 15 years before the invasion, his physical limitations meaningless in digital space. Now those same limitations made him perhaps the only human who could endure prolonged neural network immersion without brain damage. Barcelona cell reporting critical engagement. Came an urgent transmission. Williams redirected his consciousness, experiencing the ambush through the eyes of Lucia Vega, former urban planner and current resistance leader. Her team had lured an Arcadian patrol into the labyrinthine streets of the Gothic Quarter, but alien reinforcements had arrived faster than anticipated. Williams experienced Lucia's spike of adrenaline as she triggered the district's modifications, architectural traps designed to exploit alien weaknesses. Ancient stone balconies, subtly weakened over weeks, collapsed on precise trajectories. Sewers were routed according to plans Williams had helped design funneled alien ground forces into killing zones. Most ingeniously, the great bell of Barcelona Cathedral began tolling at the exact resonant frequency that shattered alien communication devices. Williams shared Lucia's satisfaction as confusion spread through enemy ranks. But her triumph turned to horror as an Arcadian commander ordered a retaliatory strike against civilian shelters. Williams felt Lucia's decision before she consciously made it. She would sacrifice her team to draw fire away from non-combatants. Negative Barcelona. Williams transmitted. Implement martyrdom protocol. The words activated pre-programmed responses in Lucia's neural interface. Her consciousness transferred to Williams's system as her physical body led the suicidal charge that would save hundreds of civilians. Williams experienced her final moments, not with detachment, but with reverence. As her signal terminated, Williams added Lucia's neural pattern to what his team called the Victory Memorial. Thousands of consciousness imprints from fallen fighters, preserved to bear witness to humanity's eventual triumph. Each sacrifice sharpened his resolve. Supreme Commander Zex Vueller thinks he's fighting soldiers, Williams murmured to Teresa as she wiped blood from his nose, the neural interface taking its toll. He doesn't understand. Every human is a virus, and Earth itself is our weapon. Dr. Sofia Rodriguez stared at the genetic sequencer as her lungs burned with each breath. The submarine laboratory, once her sanctuary beneath the Pacific, had become her tomb. The Arcadian bioweapon had penetrated even this isolated environment, the virus's protein structure more insidious than anything in human medical records. Progress report. She rasped into her recorder, maintaining scientific protocol even as her colleagues succumbed around her. Test Series 37 shows promising results. The virus's perfect design is paradoxically its weakness. It's too optimized for human physiology. Her hands trembled as she injected another modified viral sample into the test chamber. Through the observation window, tissue samples from her own lungs floated in nutrient solution, her most personal contribution to humanity's survival. Dr. Lewis, she called, turning to her last surviving colleague. The young virologist didn't respond. Her body slumped over her workstation. Sophia checked for a pulse, finding none. Final member of research team lost. She updated her log, voice clinical despite the grief crushing her chest. Continuing alone. Sophia had been the CDC's star virologist before the invasion, renowned for developing treatments for 3 pandemic-level pathogens. The Arcadian bioweapon, however, operated on principles that defied conventional epidemiology. It didn't just attack human physiology. It seemed designed to anticipate human medical countermeasures. The submarine's external cameras still functioned, displaying coastal cities where bodies lined streets. The Arcadians hadn't even bothered to collect the dead, confident in their victory. As fever clouded her thoughts, Sophia found clarity in an unexpected memory. Her grandfather's farm in rural Mexico, where he'd fought persistent fungal infections in his crops. Sometimes, he told 8-year-old Sophia, "You don't fight the enemy directly. You introduce a competitor that wants the same resources." Her feverish mind made the connection. The Arcadian virus was too perfect, too specialized. What if, instead of fighting it, she created a variant that competed with it? With renewed purpose, Sophia activated the lab's CRISPR apparatus, technology considered theoretical before the war, accelerated by desperate necessity. Her approach wasn't to create an antivirus, but to modify the original pathogen, creating a variant that reproduced faster while causing minimal symptoms. Competitive exclusion principle, she muttered, programming genetic sequences with failing vision. 2 species competing for the same resource cannot coexist if other ecological factors are constant. The automated system worked through thousands of iterations as Sophia's condition deteriorated. Her lungs filled with fluid, each breath a battle. When the synthesizer chimed completion, she could barely rise to retrieve the sample. The modified virus, golden-hued compared to the original's crimson, underwent rapid testing in the automated systems. The results confirmed her theory. When introduced to tissue already infected with the Arcadian weapon, the new strain outcompeted it within hours, rendering the deadly version extinct through resource competition. With trembling hands, Sophia loaded the cure into delivery drones, autonomous vehicles designed to distribute vaccines in regions too dangerous for human medical workers. Programming took the last of her strength. Deployment protocol initiated. She whispered, triggering the launch sequence. The submarine's bay doors opened, releasing dozens of drones programmed to disperse aerosol versions of the modified virus in populated areas. Sophia recorded her final log entry as the drones disappeared from the tracking system. The Lazarus Protocol is named after the biblical figure raised from the dead. In approximately 72 hours, infected humans should begin to recover. The modified virus is self-transmissible, spreading through respiratory droplets like the original. Her oxygen levels critical, Sophia activated the submarine's secure communication system. The quantum-encrypted message would reach Captain Reyes and other resistance leaders, providing complete documentation of her work. The Arcadians engineered this virus to exploit human biology, she concluded, voice barely audible. They never considered that human biology could be turned against their creation. Life finds a way. Humanity finds a way. As darkness encroached on her vision, Sofia Rodriguez imagined the drones reaching cities, spreading her creation through air that had carried death only days before. Her final thought was not of her impending death, but of strangers rising from sickbeds, carrying her legacy in each breath they took. The Lazarus Protocol would be her epitaph, written in the survival of her species. Wei Chen surveyed the gathered resistance leaders from a makeshift platform in the underground bunker. 18 months of war had transformed the former engineer beyond recognition. His designer suits replaced by patched fatigues, his once immaculate appearance now marked by a burn scar that claimed his left ear, a souvenir from the successful defense of his Canadian facility. "My team promised you a weapon," Wei began, voice hoarse from months of inhaling metallic dust. The assembled leaders, former soldiers, teachers, accountants, artists, leaned forward expectantly, their disparate backgrounds united by survival and defiance. "What we've created isn't a weapon," Wei continued. "It's a revolution." He signaled his assistant, Minji, a former Olympic gymnast whose competitive career had ended with the invasion. The hydraulic platform beside Wei hissed, revealing what appeared to be a metallic second skin rather than the hulking exosuit many had expected. "The Arcadians evolved on a high-gravity world," Wei explained. "Their muscles and skeletal structure evolved for an environment 1.8 times Earth's gravity. It's why they're physically superior in close combat." He stepped closer to the biomechanical suit, running his fingers along its surface, where organic-looking filaments merged with metallic components. "This is the synapse," Wei announced. "It doesn't just match Arcadian strength. It exceeds it while maintaining human agility and adaptability." As if on cue, Minji stepped into the recessed platform. The suit responded, flowing around her body like liquid metal before solidifying into a form-fitting exoskeleton. The transformation took less than 15 seconds. "The neural interface is what makes this possible," Wei explained as Minji flexed her augmented limbs. "Traditional exosuits require extensive training. The synapse reads the user's intentions directly from their nervous system, allowing instantaneous mastery." To demonstrate, Minji approached a testing area where various materials awaited. With casual taps of her fingers, she shattered concrete blocks, bent titanium rods, and finally, split a captured piece of Arcadian hull material, previously thought impervious to human weapons. Most importantly, Wei continued as murmurs spread through the audience, "We can manufacture these using primarily Earth materials. The Lazarus Protocol has bought us breathing room. Operation Falling Star has disrupted their orbital supremacy. Now the synapse will neutralize their advantage on the ground." A resistance leader from Australia raised her hand. "How many do you have ready?" 50 units operational today," Wei answered. "Production capacity for 500 within 2 weeks." "Not enough," the Australian objected. "There are millions of Arcadian ground forces." Wei smiled for the first time in months. "You misunderstand their psychology. The Arcadians define themselves by their physical superiority. It's fundamental to their identity and military doctrine. They don't need to lose every ground engagement. They only need to lose enough to create doubt." He turned back to Minji, who now executed a series of acrobatic maneuvers impossible for both unaugmented humans and the larger, less agile Arcadians. 50 units deployed strategically will create a ripple effect, Wei explained. Once Arcadian commanders witness their elite forces defeated in direct combat, they'll become defensive, cautious. That's when we exploit their psychological vulnerability. The bunker's communications officer interrupted, hurrying to Wei's side with an urgent message. He scanned it, his expression shifting from determination to something the gathered leaders hadn't seen before: hope. Operation Falling Star reports 17 Arcadian capital ships destroyed in the first wave, Wei announced. Their orbital forces are in disarray. The room erupted in cheers, but Wei raised his hand for silence. This is just the beginning. Each victory builds momentum for the next phase. The Arcadians expected a species that would break under technological superiority. Instead, they found one that transforms through adversity. Later that night, as production lines worked at full capacity, Wei received confirmation of the first ground engagement involving Synapse-equipped fighters in Mumbai. The battle had lasted less than 20 minutes, with a single human squad eliminating an entire Arcadian garrison. The attached video showed something unprecedented: Arcadian forces retreating in disarray from human attackers. Wei forwarded the footage to all resistance cells worldwide with a simple message: the tide has turned. Admiral Elena Rice studied the holographic battle projections aboard the ISV Defiant, her cybernetic eye processing tactical data faster than any unaugmented human could comprehend. 2 years of guerrilla warfare had transformed her experimental vessel into Earth's most formidable warship, a hybrid of human innovation and reverse-engineered Arcadian technology. Operation Spearhead commences in 30 minutes, she announced to the assembled fleet commanders, their faces grim with determination. This isn't just another raid. Today we break the blockade that has imprisoned Earth for 2 years. The commanders represented humanity's unlikely naval renaissance. Commercial pilots, submariners, even cruise ship captains now commanding vessels cobbled together from civilian craft, captured alien ships, and orbital infrastructure. The Arcadians expect us to attack in formation, Rice continued, manipulating the tactical display. Their battle doctrine relies on identifying patterns and countering them systematically. Today, we give them chaos instead. Commander Ortiz, formerly of the Spanish Merchant Marine, raised his hand. Admiral, with respect, our captains have trained together for months. Abandoning formation risks friendly fire incidents. Reyes nodded. A valid concern. That's why each ship will maintain its own tactical bubble. No coordinated formations, but also no interference. Her artificial eye glowed as she transferred tactical packages to each commander's neural interface. Every vessel fights according to its captain's strengths. The only common factor is the objective: breaking through to establish our defensive perimeter beyond lunar orbit. The commanders absorbed this unconventional approach with varying degrees of confidence. Rise understood their hesitation. Military history emphasized unified tactics, but human military history had never faced an enemy like the Arcadians. Remember, she added, Supreme Commander Zex Vueler expects us to fight like a traditional military force. His entire strategy counts on it. When each of our ships employs different tactics simultaneously, his response protocols will fragment. As the commanders dispersed to their vessels, Marcus, now her XO despite their complicated personal history, approached her private console. The strike team is ready, he reported, avoiding direct eye contact with her cybernetic implants. Their relationship remained professional but strained, especially after she'd undergone extensive augmentation following injuries sustained during their escape from Earth. 30 elite Marines, all Synapse-equipped. Marcus continued. The boarding pods are disguised as debris from the main assault. Elena nodded. And Zex Vueler's flagship. Intelligence confirms he's commanding personally. Apparently, the High Council demanded he take direct control after recent defeats. A predatory smile crossed Elena's face. Perfect. His arrogance makes our job easier. The fleet launched with deliberate disorder, 300 vessels of varying sizes and capabilities advancing toward the Arcadian blockade. On the flagship's view screen, the alien formation appeared as geometric perfection, ships arranged in mathematically precise defensive layers. "Entering weapons range in 60 seconds, reported the tactical officer. Rays opened a fleet-wide channel. "All vessels, execute at will." "I repeat, execute at will." What followed defied conventional space combat doctrine. Human vessels attacked using wildly disparate approaches, some employing thermal weapons that Arcadian sensors struggled to track, others launching sound-based disruptors that penetrated alien hulls to disorient crews, still others using simple kinetic projectiles alongside sophisticated particle beams. On the Arcadian flagship, Supreme Commander Zex Vueler watched with mounting confusion as his perfect formation struggled to respond to what appeared to be dozens of uncoordinated skirmishes rather than a single battle. "They have no unified tactical doctrine," he realized aloud. "Each vessel fights individually." His subordinate, Sub-Commander Krell, frantically adjusted defensive algorithms. "Our systems cannot develop effective countermeasures. They change tactics too rapidly." "Impossible," Zex Vueler insisted. "No military force can function without standardized protocols." The battle's true deception revealed itself when proximity alarms blared throughout his flagship. What sensors had identified as debris from destroyed human vessels suddenly changed course, accelerating toward the command ship's hull. "Boarding craft!" Krell shouted as the pods impacted, breaching the outer defenses. Zex Vueler drew himself to his full height, nearly 3 meters of evolved predatory physiology. "Prepare for internal defense. These humans will learn the difference between their fragile bodies and superior Arcadian biology." The first bulkhead shattered inward as synapse-equipped Marines breached the command deck. At their lead stood Admiral Reyes, her cybernetic enhancements glowing with cold purpose. "Superior biology?" she asked, her augmented voice carrying across the deck. "Let's test that theory." Jamal Williams navigated the Martian facility's security systems with thoughts alone. His consciousness interfaced directly with the alien network. The exosuit accommodating his paralyzed body hummed quietly as it maintained his life functions, while his mind worked at superhuman speed. Security protocols neutralized in Sector 7. He communicated to Marcus Reyes, who led the physical infiltration while Williams handled the digital realm. "You have 3 minutes before automated diagnostics detect the intrusion." Marcus acknowledged with a hand signal to his strike team. The former weapons officer, now commanding an elite infiltration unit, moved with practiced efficiency through the alien compound beneath Olympus Mons. His relationship with Elena had fractured years before the invasion, but their shared determination to save humanity had forged a new kind of bond. 6 guards ahead, Williams warned through their neural link. They're rotating in 90-second intervals. Marcus synchronized his team's movements to exploit the precise timing gaps in Arcadian security, a reflection of the aliens' predictable nature that had become their greatest vulnerability against human adaptability. Central Data Core 50 meters ahead, Williams guided them. "I'm sensing unusual encryption patterns. This facility contains information beyond tactical databases." The team breached the final security perimeter, eliminating resistance with surgical precision. Inside the central chamber, crystalline data structures pulsed with alien light, the strategic heart of the Arcadian invasion force. "I need physical contact with the primary node," Williams instructed. Marcus helped position Williams beside the alien interface. The paralyzed strategist's exosuit extended specialized connectors that merged with the Arcadian system. Technology developed by reverse engineering captured alien components. Williams gasped as his consciousness expanded into the alien network. Unlike Earth's digital systems, Arcadian data architecture operated on principles closer to biological neural networks. Information wasn't merely stored, it was experienced. "They're afraid of us," Williams whispered, his physical voice barely audible as his mind processed terabytes of alien strategic assessments. "This whole invasion, It wasn't about resources or territory. It was existential fear. Through the alien data, Williams experienced firsthand the Arcadian High Council's deliberations prior to the invasion. Their civilization had observed humanity for centuries, watching with mounting alarm as humans progressed from primitive agriculture to space exploration in an evolutionary eye blink. Their sociological models showed our technological development outpacing theirs by orders of magnitude, Williams explained, still connected to the alien system. While they carefully advanced over millennia, we leaped forward in decades. Our creativity, our adaptability, our willingness to take risks. They saw these as unpredictable variables that threatened galactic stability. Marcus scanned the alien symbols flowing across Williams' neural interface display. They invaded because they were afraid of what we might become. They invaded because they recognized what we already were, Williams corrected. A species that transforms through crisis rather than breaking. Every obstacle we've overcome has made us stronger. Deeper in the data, Williams discovered complete schematics of the Arcadian fleet, including tactical weaknesses deliberately concealed from frontline commanders. Most valuable of all, he found the coordinates of the Arcadian homeworld and detailed defense protocols. Transmitting data to Admiral Reyes now, Williams announced, initiating the quantum-encrypted broadcast to the fleet in orbit. The massive data package would give humanity everything needed to bring the war to Arcadian territory. As the transmission progressed, alien security alerts blared throughout the facility. Marcus checked the team's extraction route on his tactical display, his expression darkening. Automated defenses have sealed the primary escape route, he reported. Secondary and tertiary routes as well. Someone has to stay behind to maintain the transmission and override the security lockdowns. Williams attempted to disconnect from the alien system, only to find his neural interface locked in place. The system's adaptive countermeasures have me physically integrated. I can't disengage until the transmission completes. Marcus understood immediately. How long? 7 minutes for full data transfer, Williams calculated. Another 3 to override the lockdowns for your escape. The facility's self-destruct will activate approximately 2 minutes after that. Their eyes met in silent communication. They both recognized the mathematics of sacrifice. Get the team to the escape pods, Williams instructed. I'll handle the rest. Marcus hesitated, then clasped Williams' shoulder. Jamal, tell Alina I finally did something that didn't involve sitting behind a screen. Williams interrupted with a grim smile. Now go. The future of our species depends on that data. As Marcus gathered the team, Williams turned his full attention to the alien system, his consciousness expanding to control every aspect of the facility. His final act would ensure humanity's greatest advantage yet, access to the heart of the enemy. Admiral Alina Reyes stood motionless before the viewport as her flagship, the ISV Lazarus, held position above the crystalline spires of the Arcadian homeworld. A planet that had never known invasion now faced the full might of humanity's counterattack. All weapons systems armed, reported her tactical officer. Targeting solutions calculated for governmental, military, and industrial centers. Awaiting your command, Admiral. The bridge fell silent. In this moment, 3 years of suffering, innovation, and sacrifice culminated in Alina's decision. Earth's combined fleet, vessels of human design alongside captured and modified alien craft, stood ready to unleash devastating firepower. She touched the memorial insignia on her uniform collar, a small emblem containing quantum-preserved memories of those lost. Dr. Rodriguez, Jamal Williams, and finally, Marcus. Her ex-husband's sacrifice during the Mars operation had affected her more deeply than she'd admitted to anyone. Open a channel, she ordered finally. All frequencies, all Arcadian communication protocols. Her communications officer looked up in surprise. You want to speak with them? Our intelligence indicates they're preparing emergency evacuation of government leadership. Precisely, Alina replied. They believe they understand human nature. Let's show them how wrong they've been. Across the Arcadian homeworld, Emergency broadcasts interrupted all communications as Elena's image appeared on every display. Her face, half organic, half cybernetic, represented humanity's journey through adversity to transformation. People of the Arcadian Collective, she began, her voice translated into the musical tones of the alien language. I am Admiral Elena Reyes of Earth. Your military leaders told you we were primitive, predictable, and easily subjugated. They were wrong. She gestured to the fleet behind her. As you can see, we now possess the capability to do to your world what you attempted to do to ours. Your planetary shields cannot withstand our weapons. Your evacuation ships cannot outrun our interceptors. Your leadership bunkers cannot shield you from orbital strikes. The Arcadian emergency channels erupted with panic as civilians witnessed the human armada poised above their previously invulnerable world. But that is not why we have come, Elena continued. We did not travel across the stars to destroy, but to end this conflict definitively. She transmitted coordinates for neutral space. I invite your highest authorities to meet me at these coordinates in 12 hours to discuss terms. Not terms of your surrender or our revenge, but terms for a future where both our species can exist without fear of one another. The transmission ended, leaving the Arcadians in stunned silence. Elena turned to her senior staff, their expressions ranging from confusion to outrage. Admiral, her XO protested, after everything they've done, the cities they destroyed, the bioweapon they deployed, you're offering peace. Elena approached the tactical console, studying the weapon's targeting display. Revenge is predictable. Destruction is easy. Building something new from conflict. That's uniquely human. 12 hours later, Elena entered the repurposed Arcadian station that now served as a neutral diplomatic forum. The chamber had been modified to accommodate both species, with delegates from 23 alien civilizations observing the unprecedented proceedings. Supreme Commander Zex Vueller, now bearing the title of Peace Envoy following his government's emergency restructuring, approached Elena with visible bewilderment. Your species stands poised to destroy our homeworld, he stated, the translator rendering his harmonics into flat human speech. Our analysts predicted orbital bombardment followed by ground invasion. Why do you hesitate when victory is assured? Elena studied her former enemy. The towering alien who had once commanded the invasion of Earth now waited for her response with something approximating human uncertainty. Because annihilation isn't victory, she replied simply. It's failure of imagination. Around them, representatives from previously subjugated species watched with particular interest. In all their collective histories, no species had achieved dominance over the Arcadians, only to offer cooperation instead of conquest. We don't want your extinction, Elena continued. We want a galaxy where innovation isn't feared but celebrated, where difference isn't a threat but an opportunity. We want your cooperation in building something neither of us could create alone. As the formal negotiations began, Elena recognized what the Arcadians couldn't yet see, that this moment represented humanity's greatest victory. Not the defeat of an enemy, but the creation of a future their ancestors could never have imagined. A future only possible because humanity, when pushed to its breaking point, had refused to break.